Okay. So Vaiga, can you turn on your video?
Wait a minute.
Okay, then Arufa. So Arufa, I'll just speak a word with Arufa. So let me know if you guys understood what I told. Okay. So Arufa, 안녕하세요.
안녕하세요.
Yeah. So did you guys understand what I told?
Hi.
Yeah, hello. So 안녕하세요 means hello in Korean. So I think most of you guys know about it, right? So yeah, you guys can on your video if you want. So okay, so Tanisha is here. Okay, Nitya, 안녕하세요.
안녕하세요.
Okay, Anush, 안녕하세요. Okay, then Ruchita, 안녕하세요.
안녕하세요.
Yeah, so 안녕하세요 means hello in Korean. So from next time, if you wanna wish, so with good evening, you can say 안녕하세요, everyone. Okay. Yeah, so we'll start our class now. So I'll share my screen. Before that, I think last time Nitin asked a question regarding what is Jupyter notebooks, right? Like what is the difference between collab, what is collab and Jupyter notebook, how it's related. So let me tell you. Okay. So last time I told that the Jupyter thing was a programming language. So it's not a programming language. It's a cloud-based platform. So I think you all know what is cloud-based, right? So like Collab, so Jupyter is a cloud-based platform where you can write and execute your codes. So Google made this Jupyter thing to write and execute the codes. And also, they named it Collab. It's not a programming language, but the platform where you can write and execute the codes. Okay.
ಕಟ್ ಮಾಡು ಹಂಗೆ ಮಧ್ಯದ ಬರ್ತಿತ್ತಲ್ಲ.
So, here the Google made this because they want the users. When you write or when you create a notebook and write some codes in it, and then you can directly save it in your folder. You know, Google Colab. It's integrated with Google Drive. So that's why Google made this collab. Did you understand now, Nitin?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. So I'll share my screen. Okay. So today's topic is variables, input and output. I think during the interview, many of you got questions like what is variables? Some of them didn't knew, some of them knew, but they didn't know how to describe it, right? So we'll learn today. Okay, so we'll do a quick recap. Okay, so just for 2 minutes. Okay, so we don't have much time, so we have to manage the time because there is time deadline for each and every topic. Okay, so Arufa, you can do.
Yeah. Yeah. So in last class, we learned what is Google Colab and its features, some of the features in Google Colab. So Google Colab is nothing but it's a cloud-based platform provided by Google, which allows the users to write code and execute it. So we learned some of the features, that is table of contents. So table of contents means to create a section. Section you can move up and down and name the section, which makes it easier for the user to search their codes. Then we learned about runtime. Runtime means, for example, you'll create three codes. In that, if you click on run all, then all the codes will be executed at the once. Then if you click on run before, for example, now you'll select one code and the code before the selected codes will all the codes will be executed. Then run after means now you'll select a code. After selecting this code, the codes after that selected codes will be executed. Then we learned about change runtime type. So that GPU, TPU that Tanishka will be explaining. So over to you, Tanishka.
So there's a video which is sent in the group, right, regarding the runtime. So last time the meeting was delayed for 10 minutes, so few teams were not able to complete explaining the last topic, which is runtime. So in the video, I don't know if you everyone have watched it, but watch it. It's very easy to understand. Okay, not so difficult. If you watch, then you can easily understand regarding the runtime. And also, I told you about CPU, GPU, and TPU, right? So you don't need to worry about it for Python for now. I'll just explain. So CPU, it's the accelerators which is present in Python. So these three things, it's in Python if you want to change the runtime type. For example, you are writing a very simple code, then CPU is enough for it because it's good for general task. Then if it's GPU, like you have a bit more complex task, like which it's more of a complex calculation, then you use GPU. It's better, like it's more faster than CPU. Okay, so GPU means graphics processing unit. And then TPU, it's faster than CPU and GPU and also smart. You know, it is also considered as smart because it will not just complete the tasks faster, but also it will require less power consumption. And also, even though there is lot of data sets, large data sets, then it will not take more time. So it is uh, faster as well as smarter. Okay, so you don't need to worry about it for now, but I just explained. Okay, so variables. Can anybody read it for me? Amsini, you want to? Can you? Okay, I'll read it. So a variable is a storage location paired with a name which contains some known or unknown quantity of information referred to as a value. So when you see this, it's like very complex thing to understand it. So don't worry, it's just we can break it down. A variable is a storage location. So storage location. So there's an example in the next slide. So you can see, then you'll understand. So it's a storage location. It's a place paired with a name. So it's a place, and you can give a name for the place, and which contains some known or unknown quantity of information. So it's mentioned as known or unknown because known means you give certain value in a variable. For example, apple is equal to 10. You just think 10 rupees, okay? So it's known value. And then when you add input to it, it's unknown because you don't know what the user may give the input. Okay, so it will ask for the user input and you don't know. So that's an unknown value. So that value is considered as a quantity of information, and that data is called as value. So it's a place where which contains some value. Okay, so the simple thing you can remember, it's a place or a container which holds value. That is what variable is. Did you guys understand?
Yeah.
Okay, then the purpose of variables. So we know what variable actually does. So why is it used in Python then? Okay, so variables are used to store data that can be manipulated and referenced in a program. So it is used to store data. You know, the values, it is used to store them because you can use those values in a program. So it stores the data in its memory because you will be using that value in your program next. So it will keep the value in its mind, in memory. So it's the easiest way to keep it in your mind. So that's the purpose of variables. So here you can see properly. Yeah. So creating variables. So how you can create a variable, and there's an example here. So variable equals bowl, and then data means the values, that is called that is the noodles which is inside the bowl. Okay. So this black bowl is the variable. Okay. The variable name is bowl1. Okay. And then there are a lot of things. So just think the noodles which is inside this bowl is called as the value which is stored in the bowl1 variable. So it's easy for you guys to remember, right? So a container which holds some value. So here you can see bowl1 is equal to noodles. Noodles, it's the value which is inside bowl1 variable. You store this because in your program you'll be using this. So it stores in the memory. Okay. So do you guys have any doubt regarding the variables topic? If you have any, then let me know. Uh, Hamsini, did you understand what I told? Can you hear me? Like, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So then Kruti is here, right? Okay. Kruti, did you understand what I told?
No, Tanishka.
You didn't get, like, which topic do you didn't understand?
What you have teach now, I didn't understand.
Like the whole thing you didn't understand?
Yeah, about variables.
You didn't okay. So the variables, I'll tell you again. So the variables are the containers which holds value. Okay. So here it's just an example, okay? Don't get confused. So there is a container here and there is something inside the container. You can think this noodles has a value and this bowl has a container. So there is a bowl and there is some value inside it. So there's some food inside the bowl, right? So the variables are something which holds the value because you will be using the value in your program. Okay, did you understand now?
Yeah, Tanishka.
Can you then tell me what are variables?
So here the container is like a variable, and the things which are inside that container are like the values.
Hmm. Okay.
Yeah, that I know.
Okay. So this is I explained it in this way so that you guys can understand. So what is in the PPT, you can go through it and you can cut it down and then it will be easy for you guys to understand. Okay. So now I'll just go here. So can anybody guide me how to open the collab with the drive? Okay, so Nitya, can you tell me like how can I open create a folder and then open Google Colab?
Uh, can you say me once again?
Can you guide me how to open Google Colab through the drive?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Click on that 9 dots, Google Apps,
And then
then go to Drive.
okay, so here I've already created a folder. So yeah. So then there are, you see, like I told you before, you can create many notebooks, right? So here there are already many notebooks, and I have already opened one of them. So here, can anybody create a variable? You can guide me. I'll type. Nitin, can you?
A equals to 21.
Okay, just a second. Mm-mm. A equals to,
21.
okay, sorry.
2, 1.
Okay, 21. Um, Nitin, so here, which is the variable and which is the value?
A is the variable and the 21 is the value.
Hmm. So this 21 value, can you tell me like what type of data it is?
Integers.
Yeah, that's right. So 21 is number, right? So it's integer. So instead of 21, if I write um apple, then what is this now? What
String
type?
value.
Yeah, that's right. So okay, then we'll go and then we'll run the code. So this you can print it if you want. Okay, so I think it takes time. So this is how you can create a variable. Okay, so a is equal to 21, and then you write print a. So you got the output 21. Okay, so then you can. I'll share the PPT again. Okay, now we'll learn about the variable types.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Now you learned about variables, and now we have two types of variables that are mutable and immutable. So, mutable means you can keep changing the value of a variable. You can change the value of a variable. That's called as mutable. And the immutable means their values cannot be changed. If you assign a value for that, it's not changed. You can't change that. But in mutable, you can change their values. Did you get that?
Yes.
Can anyone tell now what is mutable? Tanisha or is
Mm,
Tanisha here?
okay, so for now, we can just tell them the definition. I think they've not completely understood what it is. So we'll move to the next slide. And
Perfect.
when they see the example, I think they can get it.
Now, there are different types of variables. You know, variables is something which contains something which contains. So now there are different types of variables. As you use geometry box for storing your geometry items, shoe box for storing your shoes, and some boxes in your kitchen for storing sugar, salt, like that. So that we have different types of boxes like variables in Python. So the first one you can see is integer. Integer stores the value of a whole numbers. Can anyone tell what is whole number? Whole number. Can anyone tell what is whole number?
Like all the numbers, and also which includes negative and positive numbers.
No. I'm telling about whole numbers, not integers. Whole numbers.
All the numbers including zero.
No. the numbers which are starting from 0 to infinity, which doesn't have decimal points. Okay. So the integer is a type of variable which contains whole numbers. And next thing is float. Float contains decimal numbers. Oh, the point 1, point 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It goes on. So these float types store decimal numbers. And string actually stores text. Text means just like hello, what's your name, means the name which stores your name or something, the name of something, that stores the string. And Boolean means true or false. Uh, if you may get doubt about what is Boolean now, but later on you will get to know what is Boolean, true or false. You may think that how true and false can be stored in a variable, but it is. So I will repeat this again. Repeat the thing again. Integers are the variable type which contains whole numbers, numbers which are starting from 0 to infinity, not the numbers with decimal points. And float means the variable type which contains decimal numbers. It can also contain integers and even decimal numbers. String is a variable type which contains only text. It also contains numbers, but you can't do any operations with that. Means you can't add or subtract with that. And even Boolean means true or false. So in right side, you can see brackets. Those are just like symbols which we use to represent that. Integers, we use int. For float, we use float. And string, we use str. And for Boolean, we use bool. Did you get this? Or did everyone get this?
So I'll open collab and you can Pranava, you can guide me. We can write an example for 4 of this. Yeah. You can guide me. I'll write a code to just an example of 4 of these things, like string, integer, float, and a boolean value. Am I audible to you? Like, can you say? Okay. So,
Yeah.
mm, okay, then Vaiga, can you give an example for the string? So there's already an integer, like a is equal to 21. So 21 is a integer. So you saw an example, and then we'll write another example for the string and boolean values and also the float thing. So Vaiga, can you guide me? I'll type.
Okay. You can give any variable, right?
Yeah.
Just keep it b equals hello. And then print b.
Okay. So this is the example of a string. Okay, so I used the double quotation, but here I didn't use because it's an integer. So this is integer and this one is string. And then the float value. So float value, I think you guys understood. So Nitin, can you tell me an example? Like what is the float value? What does it mean?
The decimal numbers
Okay, so can you guide me? I'll write a code here. We can give an example.
Height equals to
Okay, height equals to
6.3.
and then
Print height.
okay, so what will be the outcome like? We'll see. So I'll run the code and 6.3. So here there's a decimal point. So this is called the float value. Okay. So when you ask for the user input, then you can use the words which were mentioned in the PPT. You see, for Boolean value, then you'll use BOOL. For integers, you use INT. So we'll try that later. So for now, the Boolean thing, I'll add an example. So here we'll see. So 1 is equal to 0. So if there is only a single equal to sign, then it means pass the value from right to left. But 2 times I've written equal to sign, it means it's equal to. So 1, it's equal to 0. Is that true? Is that correct?
No.
Right. So we got answer as false. So that's called Boolean values, true or false. So now let us see if 1 is less than or equal to, or we can say 1 is less than 2. And then I run the code. It's true because 1 is less than 2. That's true, right? So this is called the Boolean value. Did you guys understand? Okay.
Yes.
So Ruchita, did you understand?
Yes, Tanishka.
So that's it about the 4 things which were mentioned in the PPT. Yeah. So then input.
Can you put it to presentation mode? Well, now we are seeing the examples of the variable types. Age equals to 30. 30 is a whole number. So it is an integer type of variable. And height equals 5.9. Means it has some decimal value so that it's float because it has a decimal value. And name equals Bob. Bob is a text. Text is usually has a double quotes. It will be always inside a double quotes. So it's a string, and true means you can even assign a value as true or false. So it's Boolean, not only just or comparing the quantity, comparing the values, you can also assign it as true or false. So it's Boolean. Um, uh, can Ruchita say that what is 5.9? What type of variable type is it?
Float.
Then Nitya can answer that what is Nitya. Nitya, are you there? Okay, can any others can answer? What value can what type of variable do a VJump you can assign? VJump.
String.
Yeah, correct. Can you go to the next slide? So now the next thing is input. And input in the common term means giving some instructions. Input, something you're giving to the computer, something you're giving to others. Input, something you're instructing. That's called as input. So like that, even programming, we have input. Nitin has raised your hand. What can you know? Is it?
Tanishka, can you go back to the previous slide? Actually, I had a doubt that are these the examples of variable or the values given to the variable?
These are the variable types. Means if you give a assign 30, then it's integer. If you assign a height as 5.9, we call it as float. If you give a variable named name as Bob, then it's called a string. These are
Yes. No doubt regarding that. I have a doubt that the integer, float, string, and booleans, are they the examples of variables or the values given to the variables?
those are the examples of values.
Okay. Then can we consider it as a variable types?
Yeah, variable types. When age is equals to 30 means you're passing the value. So that age equals to 30 means 30 is an integer. So that age will also become an integer type of variable.
Okay, thanks.
So input means giving some instruction or some value or some information to the computer. So it makes interaction between I and the computer. So like I'm teaching something and someone is responding. So that if I instruct someone, that's input, and the something you say means that's output. So, for example, you have a calculator. So you do some operations. If you click 3 plus 3, then it is an input. Then you get an answer, which is 6. That's output. So input is used to make the programs interactive. And it also get data from the user, which is helpful for coding or programming. Do you have any doubts in this? Do anyone have doubts in this topic?
Okay, so input, so in here, input function, what he meant was, so let's go back to the previous example, okay? So here, age is equal to 30. So while explaining about the known and unknown values in the variables, like while explaining about variables, I told you there'll be known and unknown values, right? So here age is equal to 30. So this for this age variable, I gave value 30. So I know this. So it's a known value and it's called hard coded. Hard coded because I written. So there's no interaction. I write the code and I ask to print and then I got the outcome. So there's no interaction, right? So I didn't use the input function here. This is the normal thing. I'll just ask the computer to run the code. That's it. So it's the hard coded, without the input function. If I use age is equal to input, then I ask enter your age, and then when I run the code, the program starts running, but it stops and waits for the user to type something. Okay, so what does input function do? It's when it's run the program, when it runs the program, it stops and waits for the user to type something. Okay, so this is the this is the work that input function does. So we'll know about the output. So for now, input means it will ask you something, or it will just give you a blank space. When the program is running, it waits for you to type something. So here there is interaction, right? Like you have been asked a question and then you type the answer, right? So there's interaction. So that's why you use input function. Now did you guys understand? Ruchita, did you understand?
Yes.
Can you tell me why we use input function here?
Input function is used to give instructions to computer, like interacting with computer. It
Mm,
makes the program interactive.
Nitin, can you tell me how it works?
Uh, it works on the basis of the user, like the input functions take the informations from the user, whatever the required information asked by the developer.
Okay, that's correct. So then we'll move on to the next topic.
Converting input types. Okay. As we saw, the types of variables and input function. Now we can change the values, not values, the type of variables, what it is. Inputs are usually automatically saved as strings, but you have to tell it should be an integer or boolean or float or anything. So it is called as converting the input types or variable types. So Thanishka, can I share the screen? Hello, can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see.
So now I'm assigning, second. Now I'm assigning a variable called x as I'm giving an input saying that hello. So input means it asks someone to enter something. So have typed that hello, enter your name. So that it's a variable now. So I want to enter. Now the variable doesn't have any value. So I'm giving the value to the variable through the input function. So here x equals variable, and input function is used to ask questions or asking a user to provide some information. So that here it is hello, enter your name. So that just create in Pranava. So it just prints Pranava. So right now I'm changing enter a number. So it's asking me to enter a number. Let me write as 2. Now it just prints 2. But from now it becomes interesting. Now I'm even adding another variable called as y. So that I'm inputting enter another. Now print x plus 1. Now what happens is there are two variables. First one I'm assigning a value as 2 and the 3. So that it's just printing 23. Is 2 plus 3 is 23? No. Now it is just printing a value of 2 that is here and the value of 3. It is just printing it together. So now we have to assign it as integer. So now I'm adding integer. Now I'm telling the computer that it is an integer. It is a whole number. Now you will see 2, 3. Now 2 plus 3 is 5. So that when I type just input, it automatically saved it as a string. But when I told the computer that it is an integer, it took it as integer. So this is not the only way to do. We have even another way. Now x equals input and y equals also input. We have not assigned any value for it. It is just a string. But how to convert it as a integer? Now let's take x is equals to integer and x. And y is equals to integer y. So right? Now I'm saying that now in this line, x is stored as string. In next line is stored as even string. But now I'm telling the computer that these both are not strings. These both are integers. So that now even you get the answer as 5. But if I remove this, I will only get it as 50. So the thing here is showing that you can convert the types of variables, the input types. Here input is string, but here the input is integer. So that this is an example of how you change an input type.
Okay, so that's the example. So Pranav, you can share your screen and ask anyone to answer any question. Any one person, and you can ask them a question.
Okay, sure. Hmm. Can anyone tell what is an input here? Wait a second. So can anyone explain why it is showing as 23? Anyone?
Ruchita, can you? Or Kruti, can you? Okay, anyone, can you explain why is it showing the wrong value?
Shall I?
Okay, I want someone from the learners group to explain.
Anush?
Don't worry, if even if your answers are wrong, then don't worry. You can just continue, okay?
Can I?
Okay, sure, Nitin.
Okay.
The interpreter automatically understand the input as the string value. So it's showing 2, 3 instead of 5.
So what should I do now? There are
So
two
you
methods. You can say anyone.
you have to change the uh, value type.
Okay. Can anyone help me to do this except Nitin?
Can I?
Yeah, sure.
So before that input, write int integer,
Yeah.
open bracket.
Yeah.
Then at last, one more bracket, closed bracket.
Yeah.
The same for y value too.
Now will it show the correct value?
Execute it.
Are you sure? Are you sure?
Yeah,
Okay. Tell me any number.
5.
Yeah.
5 plus 2.
7. Then your answer is correct. Okay. Then I think everyone know this.
Okay, you can stop sharing your screen because we are running out of time now. So, yeah. So here we already learned about the how to convert this input types. So you got to know about the variables and now how you can properly get the outcome. Okay, so if you just add an input function without mentioning any other things, then it will consider the user input has string. So it's mentioned here. So you should be careful if you want to do any mathematical operations. Then if it's about the numbers, then remember to use the keyword int integers. Okay, and then output. So I told you input, it means when you run the program, it stops and waits for the user to write some value. Okay, so only that part is called input. And then output, it means when you run the code and then the program accepts and process the data. And then it will again show us what the output was. Okay, that is the output thing. So if you had an input function, then when the program runs, it waits for the user to write some value. So input thing, and then if the value is corrupt, and then the program accepts it, and then it will process, and then again It'll present the data back to the user as output. So there's not much to learn about output because you have already seen an example, right? So that's about the thing. So now I wanted to ask any two members few questions. I'll stop sharing my screen. Yeah. So can anybody tell me any three types of the values which we can store in the variables? You know about the variable, and also, okay, so there's 1 minute left now, so the breakout rooms are gonna close. Okay, you can, I'll send the assignment in the group. You can return back to the main session now. Yes, you all can go back.